All right, well, if you were at Fierce Fighting Championship 27, this guy to my right absolutely blew the roof off of the place. Paris Hawkins in the building. Paris, it's wonderful to talk to you. It's wonderful to chat a little bit following your fight. And the first question for me is just, how have things been since the fight? What has life been like post Fierce 27?
Oh, dude, crazy, man. I mean, I've been reveling from the past like 3-4 weeks that it's been. It took me like a good 2 weeks to fully feel like Paris Hawkins again and not like Hot Shot. But yeah, man, it's been great. You know, I've gotten to enjoy life again and feel like a human being. So yeah.
Where did the Hot Shot nickname come from?
I came up with it myself my sophomore year of high school, just with some buddies. And I was like, you know what, like Paris Hot Shot Hawkins, that has a good ring to it. You know, I wasn't even thinking of it for fighting at that point. I was just like, that's like cool little nickname. And then, I mean, hot shot means somebody that exceeds like crazy at a skill. So I think it fits me. You know?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, considering the performance that you had just a few weeks ago, I kind of wanted to ask you a little bit about your nerves going into that fight, because you told me behind the scenes that you don't get nervous. You've said on podcasts since that you were not nervous whatsoever. Where does that attribute stem from, where you don't really get nervous headed into a fight because pretty much everyone else is on the other side of that coin?
Yeah. So, I mean, I attribute that to my mental toughness and the fact that I specifically take time to work on my mindset and to work on my mental aspect of training. I have convinced myself that instead of getting nerves, I just get excited. Your body doesn't know the difference between the feeling. It's just your mind will negatively associate it with nerves rather than excitement. But what I've done is I've come in and I've been like, you know what, instead of nervous, I take this feeling and when I start to feel those butterflies, my heart rate goes up and I start to get sweaty in my palms. I'm like, I'm excited, you know? So that allows me to go in there and perform my best and know that I'm focusing on the right things and just smooth sailing. Doesn't allow me to like run into any bumps that'd be like, oh, now I'm starting to freak out. So
is there ever a moment when the palms do get sweaty, when the heart rate starts to increase, that you tell yourself, and I hope this doesn't psych you out for the future, but maybe I'm lying to myself. Maybe this isn't actually how I feel. Maybe I am nervous. Does that ever happen?
I mean, in the past, it definitely has, but fake it till you make it, man. I've faked it because I've been competing in combat sports the past 6 years. I've probably had close to 100 like combat sports competitions, including wrestling matches, fights, like grappling matches, whatnot. So it's not like at one point I was like, oh, maybe like I am lying to myself, and it would leave some room for negativity. But I learned from that. I learned that you have to know that you are. You have to know that you don't feel these things, that you just get excited. So it's like, it's not like I'm lying to myself anymore because I am that guy. You know, I don't have to fake it because I've made it. So.
Well, I do kind of want to talk to you a little bit about your background. We talked about it on the broadcast, but 4 Muay Thai fights under your belt, obviously a whole lot of wrestling matches as well. Were all of those things priming you to become an MMA fighter, or did you want to go the Muay Thai route, or did you want to grapple at a collegiate level or something like that leading up to it?
So, I mean, all of it's been preparing me for MMA. When I entered high school, I knew that I was going to want to fight at some point in my life. You know, I knew I was going to want to get in that cage, and I was actually pretty good at basketball as a freshman. But then I heard wrestling team doesn't have they don't cut people from it. You know, people just cut themselves because it's so dang hard. So I was like, all right, well, I probably should learn how to wrestle if I'm going to try to fight. So yeah, I went into that, had done Muay Thai for however many years before that. And yeah, all of that is just kind of like in the back of my head, been going into like making myself the best mixed martial artist that I can be. So
that actually brings up a really good point. I didn't know that wrestling started at the freshman year.
Yeah.
And so being in a wrestling room, typically a lot of the guys, I think it's safe to say a lot of them grow up wrestling. Yep. And when you get to that adolescent age, it's really difficult to become a wrestler, learn how to get that aggression, learn how to move the way that wrestlers do, and have a certain type of intensity and a pace. How was that learning process like for you to become a wrestler at kind of a later stage than most of the kids in the room?
So it was really, honestly, it was really hard. I had 2 teammates that were like right at my weight class that were some of the best on the team because they'd been wrestling since they could essentially crawl. Got out the womb. But yeah, and so I was constantly drilling with them, competing with them for our spot on the team, and just through being around high level guys like that, I picked it up really quick because I already had the background, a little bit of jiu-jitsu, but I had the background in Muay Thai, so I kind of knew what combat sports entailed, the kind of intensity it entailed, but wrestling is definitely a different game. But yeah, no, just training with those partners through my 4 years of high school, I inevitably, by my like junior year, I was getting the better of them all the time. So it was like
I do know you had a lot more success in your latter years in high school.
100%. Yeah, I had to take my licks up until that point. I was the nail for a very long time until I was the hammer. But I mean, it takes just showing up, being consistent day after day to get good at something. And I think that's why a lot of people struggle starting wrestling their freshman years because they're not training with the toughest people in the room. They're training with the other people that are starting. So it's hard to get good when you're both learning. But when you're going with people that know what they're doing, they're just going to whoop your ass. And you're going to have to just learn and get tougher. So that's kind of how it was for me.
Talking about the Muay Thai fights a little bit, I know that those were obviously very developmental, very helpful for you. What did you specifically take from those 4 fights, and what did you apply to them going into your MMA career more so?
Well, the very first fight I had, I was 15, and I lost via leg kick TKO. So it was like I got beat up, man. And it wasn't like this kid was skillfully better than me. It's just I got the deer in the headlights moment. It was my first fight. I got in there, and I was like, oh!
And you're a kid.
Exactly, and I was a kid. So taking away from that, that's really when I got into like the mental side of training. And then when I fought again, like a year and a half ago, I had essentially 3 fights in the span of 24 hours. Yeah, which was pretty crazy. And yeah, I mean, I just was able to keep myself nice and calm and was able to go in there and focus on doing damage to win the rounds because that was just kind of like, I don't know. It brought me a new, like that experience of losing brought a new attitude out of me for fighting, and I had to take a couple years off that loss to like reflect, refine. Still was wrestling in high school. Then I came out of high school, got ready for that competition, and I just knew that at that point I was ready to go in there and bust some people up.
Did you always know that you were going to go back to Muay Thai after that first fight when you were a kid?
Yeah, I did. I wasn't like, oh my God, like I lost at this, like I'm not going to try it again. I was just like, well, it happens. I wasn't like, I got more emotional after losing wrestling matches than losing that fight. And I was just kind of like, you know what? Like I wasn't like, oh my gosh, I lost. No, I'm disappointed in myself. I just realized I was like, oh shoot, like I need to be 100% in this, and I did not commit myself 100% to that camp. I left a lot of room for doubt, if that makes sense, yeah, so I don't know. I just knew that the way to get better was just to keep showing up and come back, and even if I lost again, like, so what? Like I've already lost before,
That leads me into this next question, which kind of comes back to the Gus fight and the future of your MMA career. You had a huge moment, and like I said at the top of this, you blew the roof off of the Maverick Center. Everyone was talking about you. We were talking in the post-fight show, and we're like, who's the fighter that flew off the page? It's like the very first one 3 hours ago, Paris Hawkins. That head kick was unbelievable. How do you take such a high and go into the rest of your MMA career?
Yeah, it's going to be hard to top, but it's not going to be impossible. And I know I'm the dude to top it. Like, I'm not a one-hit wonder. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to show you guys and I'm going to show the world that I inevitably, give me the right amount of time and I can do that to anyone in the state. So that's kind of what I want to show people moving forward is that, yes, I had a spectacular win a month ago just about, but short-term memory. Got to continue to move forward, get better, and put some more people on my highlight reel. So.
I hope this doesn't sound bad. This is more so a compliment than anything. But where does your confidence stem from? Because you're 1-0, and you are young in this game in terms of a record, I would say. But you've been around for a long time.
I mean, I know that I'm that dude, and I know where I'm going, you know, just as I know I have two hands and the sky's blue, I know that I will fight in the UFC one day. So that, to me, stems from a lot of my, like, that gives me confidence, just knowing, you know, knowing that I'm going to continue to show up, knowing how much I love to do what I do, even when there are bad days for me. But yeah, I mean, inevitably my confidence comes from my preparation. You know, I do everything to erase all doubt. I close every single door where doubt could get in, and through closing those doors, confidence appears. You know, I train myself rigorously, physically, mentally, and spiritually to become a well-rounded human being, because you can't be the best warrior if you're not the best version of yourself. So
I hear the passion in your voice. Everything that you're saying is full of just excitement for what's on the horizon. How much does just fighting mean to you? How much has it changed your life in general?
Oh, it has not only saved my life, but on numerous occasions, but it has ultimately made me into the man that I'm growing up to be. Yeah, I credit essentially a good 80-90% of who I am to fighting, and getting to do this, and getting to perform in front of people, you know, on a large stage and have exposure, it means everything to me. I would fight if I was doing it for some pennies in the back of like a Waffle House, man. Like, I like to fight, dude. It's just what I do, you know, like, but the fact that I get to go out there under the bright lights, you know, in that Maverick Center, in that fierce cage, feeling that canvas on my feet, it's surreal, man, you know, because I've envisioned that since I was a young kid. And of course, it's like everybody has these dreams, but of course there's going to be doubt along the way that you're going to get there. But the fact that I've continually showed up for myself, and I got myself here, like, obviously with the help of a lot of other people, but, you know, that I was continually showing up and getting here, it means everything to me, man, you know, and I see it as the first step of a long journey ahead of me. So I'm very excited, and I love what I do because I'm a fighter. So
you talked about exposure, building your name,
yeah.
And that's something that you're absolutely doing. We posted a video of you with your post-fight interview, your knockout going on top of it, and it really blew up. I mean, 50,000 views just on our Instagram alone, thousands of views across all of our platforms, likes all over the place, filled with comments. I'm curious of what your reaction was to kind of blowing up, you know, for a short period of time right after that fight. Did it add to the high, and what do you think it did to you mentally?
I mean, it was just recognition for me, man. Like, again, like, I know I'm that guy. I've been in the gym for the past just about 12 years, and yeah, I've been like a little kid doing this, like a little kid, but, you know, through growing up, like, I've been doing this like a grown up too. So, yeah, I mean, it was just getting that recognition, especially like that, showing off my hype in a sense, you know, that makes me happy because, you know, it puts a target on my back. You know, it gets people wanting to fight me. It gets people excited to fight me. It also shows people in the world and you guys that, you know, like, I'm somebody that's going to put eyes on y'all. So that's what I'm here to do for you guys. Like, I'm here to put eyes not only on Fierce Fighting Championship, but Utah MMA. You know, that's my goal, is I want to grow the community here, whilst growing myself. So
I'm pretty sure I put in the caption when we posted that video that a star was born on Saturday night.
Yes,
and I think that that's absolutely true. You kind of mentioned something that I want to talk about next, and that is that because of your confidence, because of the star that you have built, in just the one fight and that incredible highlight, you have created a pretty large target on your back. There's a lot of people who want to fight you.
Yeah.
Is that something you welcome? Is that something that's like, oh, I didn't think that would happen so fast? Or how does that all go in your brain as Paris Hawkins?
I welcome it with open arms. You know, again, I love to fight. So more people that want to fight me, the better. I love you guys. Keep trying to punch my face off. So, yeah, I mean, it just makes me excited thinking that I'm like, people looking at me and being like, oh, he's a challenge, or people looking at me and be like, he's not that good, I could beat his ass. Like, cool, let's do it. I welcome it. Come try. Let's sign that dotted line and, you know, make everybody some money and have some fun, dude. Do the man dance, as Strickland likes to say. So
talking about Sean Strickland, I know that you are a huge MMA follower, a huge MMA fan. And
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to ask you just, where did your love for MMA stem from? Where was the beginning, the genesis of falling in love with this sport?
Stemmed from working out in the garage with my dad. You know, that's definitely where my love for just the overall sport came from. That's when I realized how real it was. But I mean, I told you, I think before the interview, that one, like, my big defining moment of like knowing that MMA was for me was Tony Ferguson versus Anthony Pettis. Just watching Tony bounce up and down like after that second round with the blood all over his face, like the boogeyman, you know. I just kind of looked at that and it touched my soul, and it just I knew that I had that guy in me, you know, that version of whatever human that he brought out right there. Like I saw that. It was like I was looking into a mirror in a sense, and I was like, dude, I gotta like, I'm gonna be on my deathbed one day knowing that I had that inside of me and knowing that I didn't do something with it. So I gotta like make a life where I do something with it, you know. So
when you look at where you want to go,
yeah.
I know you mentioned that you want to be in the UFC, or that you're going to be in the UFC.
To
I apologize.
UFC.
I don't want to misquote you there.
No worries.
What does the future entail for you? How long do you want that amateur career to be? How long do you want that pro career to be before you start thinking about knocking on the door of Dana White's Contender Series and other big platforms?
I don't have a set amount of time. I'm young. I'm 20 years old. I am going to leave things up to the universe and continue to show up and work hard, you know, and know that all the things that I'm setting my intentions on are going to come into fruition inevitably. It's just a matter of time. I've already done all of the things that I've said I'm going to do. It is just me in the future waiting for me to collect those moments, you know? So I'm not too worried about like this many fights as an amateur, this many fights as a pro. Here I'm gonna fight here and do this. I know some guys really like to do that. For me, I'm very chill. I'm very laid back. So I'm just gonna take the fights that I think are smart fights to take, that I think are gonna, you know, be exciting. I will never accept a fight that I think is going to be boring, you know, stylistically. I don't want to do that to anyone. So I'm always going to take exciting fights, and I'm always going to come out there and perform my best. And I know throughout those two things, I'm going to get everything I need in life. So
that kind of brings me to my next question, which is just, what is next for you?
Yeah.
What do you want next? And when can we see you fighting next? Because we've talked prior, and you said that over the next 12 months, you want another 2 to 3 fights following the Gus fight. What's the next couple of months look like for you?
So I was offered to come back to the Maverick Center in November. I needed some time to kind of just like revel again, just kind of float in the space after that Gus fight. You know, I prepared myself to get up to that high, up to that level of focus, but I didn't prepare myself to come down from it. So kind of took me a little bit. I know I got on that mic. I was like, 12 to 13 weeks. I want to do that, you know? And like thinking about it, even that night, I was like, yes, I'm excited. But like, it took me like a good week to be like, you know what? I'm still feeling the way I felt like Saturday. So I need to calm down before I even think about fighting. So probably in like February, I think I was talking to Zach about that, and he's going to try to get me at the Maverick Center again, which I would love, because I love being under those bright lights and, you know, having that real Coliseum feel. Not that I don't mind the high school gyms. I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in those too, and I continually will if so be it. But, you know, something about that Maverick Center feel right to me. So
something I don't think I've had the opportunity to ask you yet was there anything that took you by surprise? Not necessarily raise the nerves or anything, but was there anything about checking in, going into the back, getting your name called, walking out, like stepping into the cage? Like, was there any part of that night that didn't go according to plan in your eyes?
Nah, it went pretty smooth sailing, honestly, especially once we got back into the locker room. Like, I was exactly where I needed to be, man. So yeah, I don't know. In a way, like, the tournament setting for Muay Thai kind of set me up to be more comfortable with that, because tournaments are unpredictable as hell. Like, you're in a room with 300 plus athletes and you don't know who you're gonna fight. So it's like knowing that, all right, there's my dude, cool, all right, he's doing his thing, I'll go do mine. Like, and just knowing like order of operations after going through the chaotic environment of not knowing when I'm about to fight or who I'm gonna fight or what, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It allowed me to kind of just be like, wow, this is predictable, and keep myself really calm. So in a way, it was a lot easier than the other fighting experiences that I've had. So,
Like mentioned, you're 20 years old, but you are very mature. You are very well versed. You know what this fight game is about. What do you attribute that to? Is it following the likes of a Julian Ruiz, being a fan of the Utah MMA scene as well as the UFC scene at large? Like, how do you know so much at such a early stage in your fight career?
I'm a fighter, and that's just why. It's like just the same way that some people are carpenters and some people are artists. Like, I'm a fighter. It's what I do. It's what I've done since I was just about 8 years old. So I attribute it to showing up in the gym and being around great, amazing people that have opened my perspective on life. And I attribute it to throwing myself into the fire willingly, putting myself through my own crucible in life, not backing down from things that other people wouldn't start. That's just kind of made me a tough person. It's taught me a lot of like valuable life lessons that I am able to bring with me into that cage. So,
When was the moment that you knew that you were a fighter?
I don't know if it was like a single moment, but it's been a collection of moments of times where I have been just about done, just about ready to like give up on whatever it is I'm doing. And that thing inside of me in the pit of my stomach fucking gets me back up, puts me back on my 2 feet. Just the collection of doing that over and over and over and over and over and over again, and always standing up at each time that I'm knocked down has showed me that I'm somebody who is resilient and who is strong and who is courageous. And that, to me, has allowed me to know that time after time, I'm a product of my habits, and my habits indicate that I am a fighter. So,
How much does that, the courage, the like just the showing up, the mentality, how much of that is transferred into success in the cage in your eyes?
I think it's a direct correlation. Like, the harder you work, the luckier you get. So, yeah, consistently showing up. Consistency is key. Not just showing up in the gym. You can't just be a fighter when you're in the gym. Like, you have to be a fighter when you're walking out, when you're getting groceries, when you're sleeping, when you're eating, like the way you meditate, the way you breathe. It all has to be done in the element and in the essence of who you are and who you want to be. And yeah, I do all of that as me, Paris Hawkins, and Paris Hawkins is the fighter through and through. So
He absolutely is the fighter through and through. Someone to look forward to on a card coming soon. I
Yes,
really
sir.
hope so. Paris Hawkins, thank you so much for the
Thank you,
time.
Blake.
Appreciate you.